Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Drak Vlogs E3 2018. And today or at least for this episode, we are tackling the final conference of Monday, which was the second of the console makers, as we tackle the PlayStation conference. Now, there are a couple of elephants in the room to address, but if people haven't watched my videos before, instead of going point by point through everything that they covered, I'm just going to go over what I think was worse, what I think were bad decisions, what I think were good decisions, and then give a final score. So, with that being said, we're going to start with the negatives first, and I've got to give it to the presentation for Sony. Sony has always had an interesting reputation when it comes to their presentation of their conferences. They want to be artistic. They want to be innovative. And this year, I think they took it a little too far. The main reason being that I'm saying that is they decided to have different venues. And from what I understand, also from the gaming journalist side, this was very frustrating because it basically made them kind of a herd of cattle as they got moved from one venue to another. Some people say that they were just strictly in one venue and some were in another. I don't know which, but if they got herded everywhere, that can't help, especially considering the equipment that they had to haul. But yeah, it's the best way that I know how to describe the presentation and why it was frustrating is they decided to start up in an area that was going to be fitting of their reveal for The Last of Us Part 2, which is kind of like a church area for like a church folk dance kind of thing. And they decided to have everybody there, and then when they got to the next reveal, which was going to be Ghost of Tsushima, they moved everybody into the more active arena area to have a festive moment of having like Japanese flute being played and like the scenic scenery and all that. They also had a guy playing a guitar in the church. It was odd. It was weird. It was jarring. It didn't get you excited. It actually in some cases made you impatient because you were waiting for the freaking trailer review. This was taking their creativity a bit too far as I'm concerned. I think you need to step it back, Sony, to about like one or two conferences ago, and you've got the perfect set. Okay, what you tried to do here just didn't work, and it was jarring, and your commentary team in between all of that did not help at all. They really didn't. They were bland, boring. It frustrated people that were watching, including me, as well as some other people in chat. Just like, this is super lame. Why are they doing this? And I can't blame them. It was really stupid how they decided to do this, and it's probably the weakest part of the freaking conference. Thankfully, after two of those swaps, they finally went back to being kind of a showcase and showing us what we wanted to see. And the other thing that I think kind of helped out with this idea was the fact they didn't have a whole lot to show. So, that being said, I think I've harped on that enough. Dude playing guitar, dude playing Japanese flute, all the moving around and the commentary in between, it all sucked. Moving into the reveals that they had. So, with that out of the way. Other negatives. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I can't even believe I'm saying this. I feel bad for Call of Duty fans because they got no highlight in the Microsoft conference, which is where they usually get that. Sony did a piss poor reveal as far as I'm concerned. They basically had one reveal, and that was classic Black Ops maps that are going to be coming soon. So, I'm sorry, Call of Duty fans. You kind of got shafted this time around. I don't know if it's just because you have all your information already, but you got the shaft, and I kind of feel bad for you. So, I also put this in my notes, like, talk is cheap, Sony, show me something, because this was one of those points where commentary was coming out, and it was frustrating seeing people getting herded everywhere, and all that. There was a VR showcase for Sony. They were the only ones that really did one, and it wasn't bad, but again, it's just, I'm not interested in VR. Tetris Effect was shown off. This was the first time I'd actually even seen that, as well as Ghost Giant. Both looked interesting, but not enough for me to get VR. Days Gone is going to be getting something for DLC or for VR. I'm not surprised by that. So that, again, another step in the wrong direction because their VR showcase I just don't think was necessary. Destiny 2 getting Forsaken DLC. I actually think this should have been more for the PC but what they had to show didn't look all that awesome. I don't know if this is just a trailer that everybody's seen before, but the trailer that they had wasn't all that interesting and didn't get me invested into Destiny. I would actually say the original launch trailer for Destiny 2 did more for the brand than this one did. So that was a bad decision as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Another one which was weird to me, but again, because I don't like the source material, was Trover Saves the Universe, which is from the same people that do Rick and Morty. Okay? I'm not a fan of Rick and Morty, so this didn't do anything at all. It was just weird to me because it felt like it was making fun of Let's Players and YouTubers because of the fact, like, this guy's doing a Let's Play in the bathtub. So maybe I'll be more than willing enough to admit I just didn't get the joke. And it was really dumb to sit back and watch. So to me, it was a bad decision as far as I'm concerned. And another thing that was kind of a bad decision overall is that while we did get some gameplay demos where we didn't have one before, for example, for Last of Us, for Death Stranding, we got our first bit of gameplay for it. Both gameplay demos were just kind of underwhelming. I'm not saying the Death Stranding was bad. I mean, at least I got to see gameplay for it to see what we're going to be doing with it. But it was kind of underwhelming in the fact that there wasn't a whole lot to do in most of that gameplay demo. And for The Last of Us, it's just because, like, it doesn't really look like the formula has changed all that much for The Last of Us. It feels like The Last of Us. So they're going to have to kind of up their game and show what's different about this aside from, oh, you live in a very hostile world, and oh yeah, by the way, Ellie's gay, and the DLC already told us that. So I wasn't necessarily all that invested. Neo 2 is coming. This was a bad decision as far as I'm concerned, but I'm not into Souls games. So, I mean, the trailer worked for Neo fans. Great, good on you. Let's see, the Spider-Man gameplay demo, was it necessary? I've seen this debate happen with a couple of people. I think it was, and it was simply because getting to see a full-on mission as well as being able to see more open world was helpful. But I could agree with a lot of other people. You didn't need to do the Sinister Six reveal with gameplay. You could have just done a freaking trailer showcasing that you were going to show off a lot of Spider-Man villains, and I think people would have been okay with that. But I was happy about the open world stuff. I was wondering if we were going to get open world where we could save people, and for the most part, it looks like we are. So I was not disappointed by that one. Although I did find it funny, the chat that I was watching was constantly giving crap over the fact that instead of crawling up walls, Spider-Man was basically running up walls, and then eventually later he started crawling up walls. And I think the only motivation for that is when you have enough momentum to run up the wall, then you should be able to run up the wall. But the rest of the time you'll be crawling. I just thought that was a really weird nitpick for people to have. And then also the other one that was weird and I don't think should have been there was a new VR game from Software called, I think it's called Deracine. And the main reason I don't think it needed to be there was because the reveal that we got was, wow, it was really short. So at that point, it's like, it's very clear to a lot of people that there's not a whole lot about this game just yet, and it's not that far in development, so it might have been better to wait till next year to have the Deracine reveal. I think it was just because, I think it's the creator of Dark Souls that did it, and he wanted to get that out there. Okay, fine, that's what you want to do, but it was kind of lame. The good things that the Sony conference did, okay? Last of Us is kind of an iffy one for me because, again, it's Last of Us. The gameplay hasn't really changed. You show that you could craft a bunch of new things, but I think what people really wanted to see, and this is my speculation, people wanted to see more infected models, more clickers, more things like that, like more variations of it, because they want to see the infected evolve in Last of Us Part 2. And everything that we have seen so far hasn't really involved the infected. It's more involved crazy fanatics. And the human element, I know from a few friends as well as some commentary here and there, people don't like the human segments. They liked the infected segments with the clickers. And granted, some time has passed, so maybe maybe humanity's found a way to not have to deal with the infected. I can see that part, but that's what people like about Last of Us, is having to deal with that zombie element. And that wasn't really showcased. We were dealing more with more with the human element than anything else. And, well, we already know that the humans are dicks. So that's the way it goes. I did like the fact that games journalists kind of backlashed at people for not liking the church scene, where basically the cutest girl in school picks out Ellie and decides to kiss her. I know why that was there. It was basically there to go, oh yeah, by the way, in case you didn't play the DLC, which I know a lot of people did, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Ellie's gay. Okay, well, here's the problem. The DLC did really, really well from what I understand, and so at that point, we already know the reveal. So it was kind of dumb, and I love the fact that some game journalists lashed out at people saying that they didn't like The Last of Us because of the kiss. People I've talked to have all gone, okay, fine. You know, this was something we already knew, so we were okay with it. The problem that they had, which is what I did, was it doesn't look too different from the original Last of Us. It looks like Last of Us 1.5. You know, like you added a little bit to the crafting system, but nothing else really changed. I think maybe a little bit in the gameplay where you could actually get down and crawl, but that's not enough to a lot of people. So that's the disappointing factor, I think, to a lot of people, is Last of Us Part 2 looks very much like Last of Us Part 1. And that's disappointing. The next one that was a positive, but overall, I'm going to call Last of Us Part 2 a positive. I think that they've done what they needed to do, and they've shown Ellie in gameplay, which is something that hadn't happened up until that point. So the next thing that was a positive for me was way down after the Destiny 2 reveal, when we finally got to see the gameplay demo for Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was announced earlier this year from Sucker Punch, the same people who makes like Hooper. And we knew that it was going to be a samurai game, and it was going to be based on actual events of the Mongol rush of the island of Tsushima. So at that point, we knew that it was going to be these events. We didn't really know what they were going to do gameplay-wise. We knew their inspiration, but we didn't know if they were going to be able to execute it all that well. And this trailer showed us that they could. It felt very much like an old Kurosawa film in some ways. It also felt a little bit, at least combat-wise, like the Onimusha games that came out for the PS2. So that was a step in the right direction. While also maintaining its own feel. It had like a stealth-ish feel, as well as a like an Uncharted feel, where you kind of go through the story and you see all these events happen before you. And I was okay with, like, for me, Ghost of Tsushima, what we saw was really awesome. I could see where some people got bored with it, but I didn't. I was very much engaged and liked what I was seeing about it. I got a little weirded out when the two characters that looked to be friends all of a sudden decided to have a duel, but the main character, I think he answered the question. It was like, if we fight, the Mongols win, which is exactly how you're supposed to look at that. So overall, I was okay with it. The only thing I wasn't okay with, this was part of the whole herding problem of moving people from that church backdrop into this new one, which is supposed to look more natural. And they had winds blowing on the screens, and then they had the Japanese flute guy. So nothing against that guy. I'm sure he's great, but it was just really weird, really jarring. And we had to deal with Sony's commentary in between. The next game that was debuted was called Control. And the cool part about this was it's weirdly awesome in the fact that it looks like you're going to be dealing with like telekinesis and stuff like that. But it's being made by Remedy. For those who don't know Remedy made the Max Payne series of games, at least the first two. I'm not sure about the third. The third is like the controversial one. But they made 1 and 2, and now they're working on this game, Control. We don't have a release date for it, but the trailer looked weirdly awesome for it. I was actually kind of blown away, more confused when I was watching it, but then all of a sudden I saw Remedy behind it, and I knew that you had the pedigree behind it. So I look forward to it. And of course, the biggest thing that I was ecstatic for during the whole Sony conference, and my wife can attest to it because I actually got up and did a little dance, was the announcement of the Resident Evil 2 remake. Holy crap, that looked really, really good and really scary. And oh my gosh, I peed my pants. And I didn't actually pee my pants, but I would have. They did so well with that trailer. And I was actually very shocked when we got the release date of January 25th, 2019. So I'm basically going to have the crap scared out of me, and then I'm going to have it awed when Kingdom Hearts finally comes out. But, oh my gosh, that trailer looked amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I really don't want to spoil it for you, but it's taken the Resident Evil horror to a whole new level. Kind of like how the original remake did for the GameCube, but this one is, I think it's even stepped it up farther than Resident Evil 7 did. And that's good, as far as I'm concerned. That remake looked awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on it. The next big reveal was Kingdom Hearts 3. That was awesome. And so we got another world reveal. The other trailers that we had seen were highlighting the Frozen world reveal. This one decided to highlight a world that nobody saw coming. And that was that we're going back to the high seas, and revealed Pirates of the Caribbean is returning for Kingdom Hearts 3. Specifically, it looks like when we deal with the plot, we're going to be dealing with the plots of the second movie, Dead Man's Chest, and the third movie, At World's End. We had scenes here and there in that trailer that highlighted both of them. So I actually am kind of wondering if we're going to have, similar to what we did in Kingdom Hearts 2, where we visit once and then we come back and visit again. And at that point, that's why we're going to have the plot for 2 when we first visit, and then the plot for 3 when we revisit. That was overall very, very cool. They also showcased a lot more summons for it, so we got to see, I think that was the one where we got to see the Ratatouille summon officially, and a lot more plot details to kind of help things along. Obviously, the big Aqua reveal at the Xbox conference was a little bit bigger story-wise for a lot of people, but the Pirates reveal was definitely something nobody saw coming. So, as far as my opinions on the Pirates reveal, I don't like the idea because Pirates kind of fell flat in Kingdom Hearts 2 as far as I'm concerned. But one of the reasons it fell flat was because A, you didn't get all of the original voice actors, specifically you didn't get Johnny Depp. It looks like in this trailer they did get Johnny Depp, or at least somebody who sounds closer to Johnny Depp. So at that point, you have that. I'm hoping that we don't have the whole copyright issue with the song, because you need to have that song. That's what sets the tone in the Pirates movies. You need to have it here, and that's what people are going to want to play the Pirates world for. The other thing, too, was that they did also make a lot of lore details for what might be coming in Kingdom Hearts 3, associating it with info that we already have from other titles, specifically 2.8 and the Kingdom Hearts Key back cover movie that came out with it. I'm not going to reveal it. You guys can go check it out, but they basically associated it really, really well with the plot of movie 2 and 3. The only thing that was kind of disappointing to that reveal is we didn't get to hear Barbossa, and I really want to see if Jeffrey Rush is coming back to play him. And we also didn't get to see Davy Jones. Is Davy Jones a part of it? I don't know. Are you actually going to bring back his original voice actor? Because you really should. We don't know these things, but at least it looked fairly entertaining. So just added stuff that we can look forward to in January after having the pants scared off of us when Resident Evil 2 does that. Then we got the full gameplay reveal for Death Stranding. And here's the thing. I have my complaints with it, but near the end, those were solved. I'm thoroughly convinced that this is a horror game now because of the way that they're portraying it. I think this is basically what Silent Hills might have been, in all honesty. Maybe Hideo Kojima kind of took that script and said, I'm going to retool it and make it this way. It really feels like it's supposed to be a horror game, and because of this game, I have forever from here on in a fear of fetuses. Oh, jeez. All the fetus stuff in this game was just freaky and unsettling, and oh, jeez. I'm not saying I was outright scared, but I was like kind of mortified right here, just going, I can't turn away. I have to see where they're going with this. And, I mean, I'm still excited, don't get me wrong, but I'm also just like, do I want to play a horror game that's made by Kojima? I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, overall, it looked good as far as I'm concerned. And the Spider-Man reveal, to me, overall was good. Like I said, I like the fact that I got some open world gameplay as well as some story that included a lot of really popular Spider-Man villains. So yeah, wasn't overall disappointed with the Spider-Man reveal, unlike most people. And I'm looking forward to it in September. Now that we've gone over the good and the bad, let's actually grade this thing. So, with everything that Sony did badly aside, I'm still going to give this conference about a C. I think it was average. I don't think it's the best conference that they've made. That'd probably be like last year or the year before. There was a lot of problems to this one, but I do think that they still got a point across. I still think they got some really good trailers revealed that set them apart. And I also do think that despite all of the things that happened at the beginning, they were able to fix it in the end. So I'm going to give them a C effort. I think it was average, but with a little bit of advice. Next year, just go back to what you were doing. You were fine, Sony. You don't have to push the bar to earn our respect and attention. In fact, I would actually say that Microsoft did that by basically doing what you did last year. And that's saying something. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. So yeah, solid C effort from Sony. And thank you guys so much for watching, as well as your love and support. We really appreciate it. And when we come back next time, it's going to be the final conference that we covered, which is going to go into the Nintendo Direct for 2018. So until then, we'll see you next time.